that. He goes, why don't I just get naked and say, come to Eastern Electric? I'm a raver, you know. I was like going to parties from when I was 14.
And it totally fucked the future of us. Like, we were out of London then.
We bought Mike Skinner one year, and I'm a big fan of the streets. And we wanted, like, you know, the parties still to have that feeling that you were doing something that was a little bit illicit, that was a little bit naughty.
Yeah. Thank you for giving me the reins to do whatever the fuck I wanted.
But it is an exclusive, yeah. We haven't announced on our socials yet that we are back.
Welcome back to another episode of Loud and Unfiltered. We continue our Inside London series today, and I am delighted to say I've got a very special guest in the studio with me. He's behind some of London's biggest and best parties, Mullet over, the mad Eastern Electrics Festival, the Electric Star Pubs chain. He's going to tell us about some other crazy shit that he's been up to. London's finest, Rob Starr.
Thank you. What an introduction. Thank you, Josh.
I practiced. It's good to see you, man. It's been a while since we properly caught up. I threw a few things of the crazy stuff that you've been up to or you've done over the years, but I guess for those that don't, maybe those limited pool of people that don't know you so well, tell us a bit about what you've done, how you first got into the game. Yeah, where did it all start?
I'm a raver, you know. I was like going to parties from when I was 14. Like the first party I went to was big Fantasia rave at Castle Donington. And, you know, that was like back in the hardcore days. And I was hooked. Do you know what I mean? The first like rave I went to, I was like, this is like completely crazy. This is something like obviously I'd never experienced in my life before. And you know, I started going to parties from there, much to the, you know, annoyance of my parents at the time. But
we see you in some of those Fantasia videos of those like those nutters giving it a big bit.
I'm always like, I actually got the video. I bought the video because I was desperate to see myself. Do you know what I mean? But I'm not on the video. But the first time I was actually on one of those like videos was there used to be a program called BPM on late night on ITV, and I was at Club Kinetic in Stoke, probably about 93, and yeah, I'm 15 years old in my Soviet top on, like giving it like hardcore rave.
Amazing. What was the, like, obviously you were a raver, but where was the little light bulb moment when you were like, I want to do this like professionally?
You know what? It took me a while. When I was 16, I was putting bus trips on, going to like house clubs like Cream and Love to Be,
nice.
Like Money Pennies. Like we were going all over the country from when I was like 16, 17. And then I moved to London at 18 and I got a job working with Universe, who at the time were pretty much the biggest promoter in the country. They used to do a big rave called Tribal Gathering. They used to run Club UK, which later moved to the Complex in Islington. And I just got a job as their flyer boy. So I used to put all the flyers around all the shops in Soho, Covent Garden. And I worked at the club every Friday at the Final Frontier nights. I looked after the DJs. I sorted out the membership. I sometimes did the door. And yeah, I was 18 and that was like my first job. But I never actually thought I could make a living doing what I loved. I don't know. I come from Leicester, and you know, I was always taught that you need to get a proper job and you need to earn a proper wage.
Yeah.
Like I never thought about working for myself. Like I was always taught I had to get a proper job, and I got a proper job and I hated it. And I did it for about 3 months, and I went and worked in a nightclub. And there was a club called Home in Leicester Square that opened. It was Super Club back in like late 90s. And I got a job working for them. And then, yeah, from there, went on to do my own thing. And the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah. What was the first... was it you obviously been involved in lots of things now, pubs, clubs, festivals, restaurant potentially as well, which we'll chat about, but what was the first? It was clubs you were involved in first, obviously just doing on the kind of ground level stuff. Pubs was the first. Oh no, was pubs were the first real thing that you got into your own thing?
No, I became Home unfortunately got shut down, got raided by the police and Westminster Council, and they had their license temporarily revoked, and the club went bust and it shut down. And then I started putting on my own parties, and I used to do a party at a bar called The Retreat in Islington. Had a night called Better Days that I did every Saturday.
Nice.
And yeah, once I'd sort of got that promoting bug, I was like, right, I want to put parties on and I want to make these parties bigger and better. And a couple of years later, I started doing Mullet Over, which was the first, I suppose, big party that I put on that got my name out there and started getting a bit of a recognition as like a place to be at the time.
What was the scene like then? I mean, it must have been raw. Like, just new shit popping up, artists, some of the massive names that we see popping around just now. You must have come through those ranks. What was it? It must have been it was a mad world, some mad stories of it.
Yeah, I mean, if we rewind back to sort of when I was coming up with that concept, it was like 2003. We did the first party in 2004, and London was a very different place, and the clubs were great. Do you know what I mean? Fabric was open, Turnmills was open, the Cross, the Key, the End. Like, London had some of the best clubs in the world. But at the time, I was like, actually, don't really want to do a party in any of these clubs. I don't want to book big name DJs. And a party in a club for me was a bit boring. The security were a bit on top. I remember going to places and getting your drugs nicked off you when you came in. And I was like, I want to do something that's a bit more raw, a bit more underground. And I remember being in Shoreditch around that time, and there was a guy called Ranks, and he used to do a party called Hoxton Pimps, and he'd take over either a warehouse or a car park or some big space in Shoreditch, and he'd run a party on a bank holiday weekend from Friday night till Sunday. And the party would just run, and you'd run it as sort of a party / art exhibition, but you could turn up sort of pretty much any time all weekend. You bought a ticket off a guy in a car outside for a £5 or whatever, and the party just rolled on all weekend. And I was like, wow, this place is lawless. This is Shoreditch at the time. I was like, I want to do some parties here. And I actually, a friend of mine, his girlfriend's dad had a warehouse space at the bottom of Brick Lane, and I basically went to him and said, can I rent this warehouse space off you? And he said, yeah, you can. He said, but you need to move into the warehouse next door. So he basically rented me the warehouse next door. I moved in and started throwing parties there. And that was my...
You were living in there?
I was living next door. There was an old disused shop. And then next door, there was sort of like a flat stroke warehouse that I was living in.
So you had the afters every time?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. And we did the first Mullet over in that space.
Nice. Oh, how many people?
About 400-500.
That's where the scene kind of came from, those squats, right? The squats, the illegal scene. That's where rave culture all came from, right?
Yeah. I mean, what we were doing then was similar to what they were doing in 87, 88, 89. Do you know what I mean? Even before that, we were just taking over spaces that were disused or that landlords had that they weren't, using for anything. And we were bunging them 500 quid or giving them £1,000 or whatever. And we were just taking over those spaces. So we weren't doing anything new. And we actually used to team up with the squatters sometimes. If we couldn't find a space, I had a number of a guy who was a squatter, and I'd ring him up and I'd say, have you got any spaces? And he'd give me a little tour of the places where they'd jimmied the locks, and they were
I got little site visits. That's great.
And at that time, there was just so many spaces. And I was saying to you earlier, I cycle around London now and I go, oh yeah, we did a party in there. We did a party there. We tried to do a party there. And I turned up at this building and I'm like, yeah, I remember we tried to do a party here, in this building.
It's crazy.
And at the time I was doing a party called A Night with my really good friend Darren, who's sadly passed, God rest his soul. And the first party was supposed to be in this building, and it had some office spaces in, but it also had some derelict floors. And so I think Darren knew one of the guys who managed the office space. And so he was taking a backhander to give us the keys to let us in.
Sure.
And I think he just bottled it at the last minute. We'd sorted it out. We actually we'd already booked the DJ. We had to move it in the end, down to Great Suffolk Street warehouse. But yeah, it was the first party we did of our A Night With series was supposed to be here. And I've got loads of those little stories from around London.
That's mad. So you must have been in you must have done some parties in some crazy spaces. They're not, when I was doing my first, I wasn't, I didn't move to London till I was fucking 21 or something after uni or something like that. No, later, 24, 25. You've been here for 15 years or something now. So I didn't, I wasn't part of that scene early on, but once I was always running events when I was down here. I was always involved in that. When I was doing on 16 plus events, or drum and bass events, BPM they were called, bass per minute for those that remember. we were doing crazy numbers. Wasn't really much going on. It was around about the time of Let's Go Crazy. I don't know if you remember, there was a whole panorama investigation around them.
Yeah, I do know them.
Undercover fucking police.
Yeah.
Liam and Callum.
Yes.
Shout out. Well done, Ballin. There was Let's Go Crazy and UTR, which was run by the Rough Hill guys, and it was us. And the scene was great. You know, we were doing, it was all legal events, you know, it was all licensed stuff. And then there was also, you know, there were 15, 16, 17-year-old kids. But we were doing like, you know, 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. parties. It was proper raves. And it was just as you were talking about, you know, like you experiencing those clubs and being like, you know, the kind of lawlessness of the squats and the illegal events going on. That's kind of what happened to us. We were a kind of a victim of that, basically, because there was a night we had a massive event. We had a massive event on, sold out like 2 months in advance, and I was away for the weekend, and I was meant to come back the next day or something, and I get a call from the venue. They're like, police have pulled it. I'm like, no fucking way. And he's like, yeah, there's something like minor issue. It was nothing to do with us. It was a license thing with the venue. Venue had fucked something. It was like nothing we can do about it. So I jumped straight back in the car, drove down. We spent 2 days driving around London, going to all the councils, trying to win them back. I was like, listen, if you don't fix this for us, there are 2,500 kids coming from all over the country coming for this event, all around the south of England, all around the Midlands, everywhere. They are coming here, whatever happens. The event's tomorrow. You know, they're coming. They're already planned that it's happening. They're like, well, I think actually it was that day. The event was that night. I was like, they're already on their way. I was like, if you don't, so they're like, well, you know, and the reaction, the attitude of the police was, I was like, they're coming. They're going to either they come to our venue, which you can police and you can monitor it and keep it safe and paramedics there and everything, or they're going to end up in parks and car parks and warehouses. And they're like, not on my patch. Don't care. That was the attitude. So they fucking pulled it. So we didn't have it. We put a post up saying events being cancelled, and some little kid who was exactly like you, basically at the time, who was just like, who'd been like, you know, fuck this. He's got his mates who are squatters. He put up a post on Facebook. It was all Facebook then. It was when Facebook was easy. You know, you could put a post up and everyone fucking saw it, and everyone sold the tickets through one post on Facebook. And he's like, BPM's flopped, squat party. And then suddenly, 2,500 15, 16-year-olds who have never heard of a squat party, have never been to an illegal rave before, go to this party, and it totally fucked the future of us. Like, we were out of London then, literally, because all of a sudden, and it was like, it was a weird time. 696s were a massive thing then. I don't know if you had done it, like, huge things.
We used to have to do the 60s.
Yeah, so like, especially when, you know, we were drum and bass events, so like, when you've got 60 guys on a lineup and like lots of postcode wars and, you know, all kinds of shit that was a proper exposure for me into that scene as well. And they were all struggling as well, and there was like that period, it felt like there was like a 6-month period where everybody, all the big artists in that scene, everybody was just going underground. They were all going back into warehouses. They were all going back into squats, because all these kids were like, well, I can take my fucking drugs in, no one's going to touch me. I can take my booze in, no one's questioning me. I can be 15 and hanging about with the 21, like nobody gives a fuck. And it was mad. It was mad. And, you know, and I actually, it became an issue for the because there's always been an illegal rave scene, right? You know, there's always been people who go to these. There's always been, you know, our number being passed around. But then suddenly it was like that was the mainstream event to go to, and then all the old school ravers were like, "What the fuck is this?" So like, who are these 15-year-old, 14-year-old kids? Like, you know, it's one thing having a few people dotted about, but then when you're being overrun with these armies of kids coming from all over the country to come in, they're like, "Whoa, this is not right now." Shindig and all these kind of big brands, all these big illegal brands, which, you know, now they do a lot of licensed stuff. We're like, this needs to fucking change. But it was great. It was interesting for me to see it, because it was like when those were the first big events I was running in London. And I was like, I feel like I've been transported back to the fucking 80s and 90s. Like, this was like early 2010s, like whatever era you call that. And I was like, now I'm competing with squat raves. Like, this is the game. But, you know, that's London, and it's like I don't think any other city has that variety of event that actually allows something like that illegal scene to explode again, like re-explode in the way that it did.
Yeah, I mean, we it's probably the first 2 years of Mullet over like pretty much all of our parties, unless we did a couple of parties in a club for our birthdays, just because obviously you know from that story, but we used to lose our venues all the time. And whether it's because someone like backed out who said they were going to get us the venue, or the police like raided it, or whatever it was, like we'd always lose the venue. So we had a few sort of fallbacks to fall back on, like legal clubs. But then after 2 years, we managed to start using temporary event notices. And at the time, we were the first party in London to use a temporary event notice, and that meant that we could legitimately license whatever space we were using.
Nice. Yeah.
So we were still running them like we were running like illegal parties, and we were very professional when we used to do it. We'd put toilets in, we'd put a bar in, we'd put a really good sound system in. We had security there, like we had medics. So we ran things properly, but the venues were totally illegal. And when we got the TENs, the temporary event notices, it sort of legitimized what we were doing. But then what happened then was everybody started using the TENs.
Yeah.
So where our party was really special because we were the only people who were taking over these spaces, playing the music that we were playing, it then became like everybody was doing a TBA venue.
Yeah, as we were just saying, we were talking about this before. TENs are, it's still used, right? But that's crazy that you guys were the first like, you made that transition from the underground illegal side, but kept the ethos of what it was, just having a license that was just like, well, actually, we are allowed to do.
We wanted it still to have that raw feeling, and we wanted, like, the party still to have that feeling that you were doing something that was a little bit illicit, that was a little bit naughty. Yeah. And the venues that we use, like arches, warehouses, places like that, lent themselves to that as well.
Who was you must have had some, like I said, I mentioned this before, but around at that time, some of the biggest artists, DJs and stuff that are in the scene now, getting mega big bucks in their festival bookings and their shows. You guys must have brought some of them through the Mullet over ranks, right?
I mean, obviously, like the obvious one is Jamie. Jamie played for us in the early days, and he had his own party as well, which was called DJs Can Dance, which he used to do just off Brick Lane, and yeah, that scene was like very small. And to be honest, we didn't book like big name headliners. It was never about like booking big acts at Mullet over. It was always about
electronic. I mean, there wasn't that many big you compare what the electronic scene is now, early 2000s. It's not like there was that many. There was a very small pool of like big global DJs, Tiesto and Calvin, maybe even. Was Calvin even a...
Yeah.
Too early, but like I can't even think. But yeah, you wouldn't have had it's not like you would have had this option of this huge roster.
No, I mean, those acts were there, but we were going for those more sort of underground, like minimal, like quite often like German producers. Like Geddes was really into that sort of German sort of minimal techno scene, and so we'd quite often bring people over from Germany, but often only like people who were really into the music and the heads would know who they were. Do you know what I mean? And people really came for our parties because they came for the vibe, they came for the ethos, they came because it had that special feeling.
Did it start? Do you think it started to become like an education piece? People would then start to come back. Jamie's back, or someone else is coming back, or was it always about the party?
Oh no, it was definitely about the DJs as well. Do you know what I mean? It was definitely about the music, because you've got to have all the elements. The music has got to be great, the venue's got to be great, the crowd's got to be great. To create an amazing party, you need to have all those elements. And luckily, like I worked with a partner, Geddes, who was really on that side of things. Like musically, he was really in touch with what was going on, and he'd tell me names. You know what I mean? I want to book this person, I want to book that person, and I'd never heard of him. Do you know what I mean? And because he was buying that music, like he'd be like, look, this record's going to blow up. He's going to be big in like 3 months' time, 4 months' time, and he was really good at spotting those people.
I talk a lot now actually often with people about the difficulty of a booker. Everybody's shopping from the same pool of artists. It's so, events and ticket sales are so lineup dependent and so lineup driven now. There's not that many brands and festivals who stand on the merit of the brand value and people going, because I don't care what the lineup is, I'm gonna do that. But you guys were doing it at a time when you didn't have mainstream names. Like I was just saying, you didn't have the mainstream names to lean back on and go, well, they're on the radio every day, they're on fucking TV all the time. You didn't have it, so you had to build. It was so much harder to run events. I mean, harder and easier because I guess in some ways, because it was still so raw and new. right?
It was still raw, but you also had a lot of competition. Like, I was thinking back to the amount of parties that were happening then. Do you know what I mean? You just had so many more parties happening back then. So you really had to like create something to stand out from the crowd. And we were out all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like London, like back then, we were out from Friday till Monday morning. And there was, you know, we were working sometimes. Like I used to do a party every Friday at the Tea Bar called Ditch Disco. So I'd be in there on a Friday night, and then we'd go to like 54 for an after party there, and then we might have Mullet over on the Saturday, and then we go to like Columbia Road to the Flower Market where there was a pub where you'd have an after hours. Then we'd go to Siegfried's in Hoxton Square. Then we might go to Secret Sundays, and it was like you could literally just party the whole weekend. Or we'd be at Cubicle, and then there'd be some carry on Monday morning, and you literally could stay out from Friday till Monday morning and have a choice of parties to go to at any one time.
Mad.
So you had to do something good to stand out from all those other parties that were going on.
What do you feel like it was that you guys had? Was that a standout feature?
I think we just had community. We just were tapped in to that community that was living in and around Shoreditch at the time, and we were tapped into it because we were going out all the time. Do you know what I mean? We were part of it, and you know, we had a good name. We booked good DJs.
Where did the name come from?
Geddes actually thought of the name, and he came to me. There was actually Geddes, he worked with another DJ, Jafar, and a girl called Kelly Love, and they started the party, and I had a warehouse in Oldgate, which I was living next door to.
Right.
And they, as happened in those days, they lost their venue, and they came to me and said, we'd like to do the party at your warehouse. And I already had an event on that day. So they were just like one of the floors, and we just all got on. Do you know what I mean? We just partied.
I'll mull it over. I'll come back to you.
Yeah. Sorry, I went off on a tangent, didn't I? Mullet, so he just came up with a name, and you know, he was like to mull something over, to think about it, to like, you know, to like think about like what you're doing, and you know, do something because you're serious about doing it. Whereas we just all thought it was because of the haircuts, because everyone at that time had like mullet haircuts in East London, and people thought, who came to the party, that it was, the mullets are over, that fashion period is over. So it had this like double meaning, which is quite cool.
Nice. Get anything, whatever you want it to be, man. Just come in and have a good fucking time.
Yeah.
Do you think it was London? Did London need it? Do you think it was? I mean, I guess everybody who was running those events at the time will probably say, yeah, mine was there. But you know, was it?
I think,
was it missing something that needed to be, a void that needed to be filled?
I think London was great at that time, and you know, we took inspiration, like I said before, from people like Ranks doing his Hoxton Pimps parties, from Secret Sundays. They started like a couple of years before us. And there was parties that were going on in sort of like makeshift places and interesting places, but we sort of were the only ones who were doing it like month in, month out. Like there'd be these odd little parties that were going on. And I think London, because the club scene was so strong, the commercial club scene was so good, it needed sort of an antithesis to that. It wasn't the squat party. We weren't on the squat party level where, you know, you could bring your own drinks in and you could like, do you know what I mean, do whatever you wanted. We were sort of halfway between a club and a squat party.
Yeah.
Which made it accessible to a lot of people.
Yeah. Were you guys still going to the clubs? Like when you were still like the clubs, were you going on like scouting missions to go like, fuck that, fuck that, take that away? Was it like learning? Was it like learning expeditions to the kind of the, you know, the ministries? And
you know what? I was probably only really going to Fabric on a regular basis, and the End, Fabric and the End. Like we went to some of the other clubs, but I'll be honest, we didn't go to Ministry that much. Like we went to Turnmills a bit, went to the Cross a little bit. The key was really rocking at that time. But yeah, we didn't go to any of the mainstream big name house DJ events, like or the trance DJs. We stayed away from that scene.
Did you find, was there like this kind of rivalry between like these kind of, you know, tens or illegal parties to the clubs? Was there like an ego war?
We were a little bit off radar. We just used to get on with our thing. I suppose the only time we'd come to blows with them is like with Fabric or maybe The End, when we were trying to book the same sort of artists, and they'd always have like this thing where someone would play for them and you couldn't book them like 2 months either side, and that meant if they played like 4 times a year for Fabric, you couldn't book them basically.
Yeah,
so but we got on well with them when we'd give Judy a call, or we'd give someone a call and go, look, can we just let him play this Mullet Over party? And generally they were really good with us.
Yeah, nice. So Mullet Over, you kind of that was 2003, 2004 you started that, right?
2004. Yeah, we did 10 years and Mullet Over till 2014.
Plans to come back?
No,
never. When Mullet's come back,
Geddes brought it back. Actually, did a few parties. But yeah, I think when something's that good, like sometimes it's better. Just left. Maybe we might do a party one day, but too old.
It's an exclusive. Might happen again. So what, 2008 it was now, you started the pubs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, crazy time, credit crunch, global financial crash, pubs shutting all over the country. Obviously the perfect time to open a fucking pub group.
Exactly.
What the fuck were you thinking?
You know what? My uncle's got pubs in Canvey Island, and I remember telling him, we was at a family party, and I said, I'm going to open a pub in London. And he was like, you're mad. He was like, pubs are like, pubs are closing. Nobody's going out so much anymore. Like, it's not going to work. And he sort of warned me off it. And I'm a promoter, so I know I can get people through the door. Yeah. I know I could bring people to the pub. And really, I wanted to open a nightclub. I didn't have enough money, so I opened a pub that had a late license where I could put parties on, do after parties, put live music on, and we traded like a club for the first probably year we were open.
The first was Bethnal Green, right?
Yeah, Star Bethnal Green, yeah.
And it was just that was just one that you bought at the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of became synonymous, as you said, because it was kind of like the rave venue of pubs, right?
Yeah, it was like a rave pub. Do you know what I mean? So people knew that we'd have great DJs there. Dan Beaumont managed it for me, who now owns Dalston Superstore and did Disco Bloodbath. We had the Horsemeat Disco guys there. We'd do our Mullet Over after parties there.
Nice.
It was a party venue. So people, knew that we'd always have great DJs on, that you came there to party.
Is the pub what it is now? Is it still the same? It still looks and feels the same as it was then?
You know what? When I first opened it, I ran out of money, so I couldn't afford any furniture. So it looked like a stripped back warehouse. It looked like one of my warehouse parties. I remember it was in like the Metro or something. They wrote a write-up and they were like, oh yeah, he's turned it into like one of his like warehouse party like venues. And it was just because I literally couldn't afford any furniture. But we've got some in there now.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I've seen it. I've sat on some of that.
But we've still got a Function One sound system in there. We still, have DJs every Friday and Saturday night. Like, it's still a good place for a party.
Do you find it, we were talking about this briefly before, but do you find it more challenging that, first of all, pubs very different to raves, parties, although you kind of brought the rave element into the pubs. Did you find... How is it comparable now? Starting out then, 17 years ago, 16, 18 years ago to now? Are the challenges the same? Is it harder now than it was then? What's the...
it's a proper pub now. So we started doing food after a while because I realised you couldn't survive just like putting raves on every weekend. So yeah, we do food there. Like we have a quiz night every week. We still do the DJs. But obviously, London's changed, like the pub demographic has changed. People don't go out so much now.
Yeah.
So you really do have to put something on to get people through the door.
Yeah.
And whether that's through food, whether that's through music, we've got 5 karaoke rooms upstairs now. So that's a big draw for people. People want something to do when they go out. People want to be entertained in some way. So yeah, all of our pubs have had to evolve over the years. Like the pub landscape is very different. Like it used to be, you'd finish work, everyone would go to the pub, and there's not that culture so much anymore. You might do that once a week, but people don't do that as a thing where you go to the pub every night. Like, and so you have to like run the business in a different way.
Yeah. How many pubs you got now?
We've got 8, and we've got a new one that we're going to launch next year.
Oh, that sounds ominous.
I'm not going to tell you about it.
Okay, fine. I won't press you. Maybe. And what's that? When did that trajectory start to happen? When you started, is it 17 years? Has it been like kind of every couple of years? Have you been?
Yeah, roughly. Like I
mean, are you constantly looking to expand, or is it?
No, I think I'm pretty much there now. Like we always used to get offered private equity money when I first started out, and people were like, "Oh, we'll give you £1 million, go and open another couple of sites. We'll give you £5 million, get to X amount of sites." And I never really wanted to go down that route. So we're, as a company, we've got no debt. Like, we haven't really borrowed any money.
Amazing.
We just slowly, gradually got new sites when we could afford it.
Proper grassroots
Yeah,
startup dream.
and maybe I should have took a load of money and should have got 20 sites, but it's not. I don't think I could get bigger than this because I want to go around to all the pubs at the weekend. I want to know who the managers are.
So do you do that every weekend? You go to pub runs every
Pretty
once?
much, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Great. Do you feel, obviously, the grassroots scene, I mentioned grassroots, it's a grassroots build, you've done it from the ground up, no big investment money behind it. Pubs, backroom pubs, grassroots venues like that is the backbone of the grassroots scene in the UK, whether it's bands, DJs.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you were massively, whether it was a Star or the other venues, do you feel that you were massively part of that influence in building that grassroots scene, and do you still feel like a responsibility, I guess, as a grassroots venue to support it?
I mean, it goes two ways, because if you've got bands on and they're bringing 30 people, 50 people into the venue, then they're supporting you. So you're supporting them by giving them somewhere to play, but they're also supporting you because the people who come and see the bands, like listen to the DJs, whatever, they're also spending money behind the bar and they're coming to the venue.
Yeah.
So I think it's it works for both parties, and we've always put great sound into the venues. Like, it's one of the things that we really pride ourselves in. If we open a new venue, we want the sound system to be great. We want to have good kit in there. We want people to be able to come in and, play music, not maybe as a club standard, but, as close as we can get to that. We don't want, the sound system to be shit. We want it to be a good experience.
That was a nice segue to my next question, actually, which I was just going to say how integral music is for, as pubs. It's not clubs, it's not raves, right? But, you've brought that event element, it's a very different type of pub chain to any other pub chain, to most other pub chains, right? But
don't call it a chain.
Group. I can cut that. We'll edit that out. Pub group, yeah. But the how integral is music and still part of what you do across the programming, across the day to day? Is it as you said, the sound system's always kick, but
yeah, it's very integral. Like the new site that we're going to open next year, we've got Fabric's old Room 2 sound system, and we're going to install that into the loft space of that venue.
Amazing.
And that's the kind of level of sound that we want in the spaces that we've got. Like, even if you're not playing it to that club level sound, you need to have a sound system in there that's going to give people that experience.
Yeah.
And all of our spaces, like, we do DJs, some of them do live music, like all of them, like, music's a really important thing.
You've run some mad parties in there, right? Why, or how different have you found running a party in a pub to, throwing the raves? And do you think it's better? Do you think it's got its own little feel to it?
I suppose as I've been growing up, what I do in my business life reflects where I am as a person in my personal life. And, maybe when I got the pub, I was sort of leaning more towards like smaller venues. And, basically with Star Bethnal Green, we were doing pub raves. And what more perfect place can you have to have a rave than a 200 capacity club with an amazing sound system, where you've got a really great bar and you're with all your mates. Yeah. Like, pub raves are that, like, intimate sort of like small club vibes, and you don't have to pay to get in. Quite often it's free, and it's just maybe a bit more of a grown-up thing. Like, certainly for me, when I was that age, when I first opened the pub, I was like, okay, I'm coming out of the clubs a bit, and pub rave was the one. Like, yeah.
How old were you when you started the pub?
I was 29.
It's a young pub landlord. I hope the mic didn't pick that beer burp up there. I was like, a good time to be burping into mic when we're talking about pub landlords. But yeah, 29. That's a young.
Yeah, I had my 30th birthday in the pub.
Nice. Yeah, you must be. That's, as pub landlords go, that must be give Al-Maria a run for his money. Okay, so pubs, clubs, illegal raves, festivals.
Yeah.
Eastern Electrics. Where did it come from? What did it feel like? You know, you'd done everything else almost. I guess there's maybe a couple another one to come, but was it a natural progression? Just now I want a festival. Why was it just you? Was it a team of you? Where did it come from? How did it all start?
I actually started in 2008, and it was me and a guy called Will, and we wanted to put on a large scale warehouse party and eventually turn it into a festival.
Yeah.
So we had a site in Great Suffolk Street car park, and we did a series of Eastern Electrics between 2008 and 2011, and we always had the aim to grow it into a festival.
Okay.
And at the time, there was no underground electronic music festival. Like, there was no one playing like the more sort of techno aspects. There was no one playing like dubstep or like any of those more underground genres of music in a festival setting.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we wanted to do that. And it sounds crazy saying that now because you've got one every weekend now. But yeah, back in...
You've been thinking about it now, and I'm thinking, I was like, 2008, really? Is that like... There was just... Well, yeah, I guess those that like late 2000s.
You had SW4 and you had Lovebox, and you had a couple of other like bigger events that were dance music focused, but they weren't really playing, certainly not on the main stage. They weren't playing like more underground electronic music. Like, we used to do Mullet over at Lovebox, and we'd get one of the smaller stages, but on the main stage it'd be big acts, it'd be big live acts, or on the main stage at SW4 it will be big like trance act. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one was playing that more underground house sound.
Yeah, very different. Did you find, was it what you expected? It was the first festival you've been involved in, right? When the first Eastern Electrics, was that the first one you'd done?
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, it was an absolute nightmare, the first one. We lost our venue. We were supposed to do it on Clapham Common with the guys from Lovebox. We put our tickets on sale. We sold about 5,000 tickets. We lost the venue. We found another venue. The guys who had the venue went bust. We then had to try and use the space. Like, the police were trying to close it down because it was the same weekend.
Back in the illegals.
It was exactly like I was doing a rave, but there was 10,000 people coming.
Yeah.
So normally when I lost a venue, I'd be going, it's fine, I can find another one. And I had a list of people to call for a venue, but not for 10,000 people.
Yeah, no TENS license for that.
No. And fortunately, we managed to find a site on the Olympic Park, not on the Olympic Park, sorry, by the O2 in Greenwich. And right up until the morning of the event, the police were trying to cancel it. And they did like a walk round of the event, like on the morning, and issued us our license, like literally 2 hours before the doors opened.
Mad.
Yeah, it was
mad. And that was welcome to the fucking festival world.
Yeah, basically. And it got worse from then.
Yeah, it still is. It's a fucking nightmare. What do you love most? Festivals, pubs, clubs?
I like them all for different reasons. Like, you know, I love being at a festival. I love going to Glastonbury. I love like Burning Man. Like, I love being in that festival environment. But like today when I got here and I was like, I just want a beer. Like, sometimes I just want to go to the pub and sit in a nice, warm, cozy pub with a mate, having a chat, drinking a beer.
Yeah.
Like, can't beat that.
That's what a homely thing to say.
And occasionally,
lovely.
I like, maybe these days, 2 or 3 times a year, I like going to a club. But it's, you know, it's one of those things where it has to be a really special occasion.
What do you enjoy running the most?
The festivals, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's that one day a year that you're building up to, like, all year. So you have, like, you know, all this work that's gone into producing this event in one day, like, that could be make or break, whether it rains or whether it's sunny, or, you know, whether your DJ cancels the day before, or like, there's so many things that can go wrong at a festival. And it gives you that adrenaline. You've always got the adrenaline all through the day when you're running the festival. Until it gets to about 7, 8 o'clock at night, there's always something that can go wrong.
Yeah.
And, you know, so it's a quite high pressure environment, but I quite like that as well. And there's no better feeling than standing on stage, like looking out and there's 15, 20,000 people going crazy.
I did that.
Yeah, it's a buzz. Yeah. It's addictive. Like,
that is proper addictive.
I compare it to gambling. Like, you are, as a club promoter, as a festival promoter, you're a professional gambler. Yeah. You're gambling, like, you know, educated sometimes in what you're putting on, but, you know, you don't know whether you're going to make or lose money each time you do a party.
Yeah. Festivals as well, you really get the chance to do some really fun shit. Like, I feel like, I've not done pubs, but, I've run club events, I've done raves, I've done festivals, but festivals I always felt were like where you've got the biggest playground. Like, obviously it's the biggest space, but you've got a bit more, there's a bit more that you can do with it, like without having to kind of stick to your four walls and stick to your slightly smaller budgets, I guess. That's how me and you, I guess, first started working together. When I was in ministry, we were doing, I think 3 years, we did the VIP Eastern Electrics with ministry. We did some fucking awesome marketing videos with the like Gogglebox thing we did with Scream and Chloe and Sam Supplier. We did carpool karaoke with you and Sam.
Carpool karaoke was probably my favourite one. Yeah, I actually really enjoyed doing that.
That was great. That was joke. I remember shooting that.
Yeah, Sam was good. Scream did one as well, didn't he?
Scream did one.
Yeah.
With the Chus and Chabaos guys, right?
Yeah.
Them as well, yeah.
Since 82 did one.
Yeah, we did some great ones. You as the driver, James Corden role. Nice. But I think the funnest thing we did was the secret Portaloo rave, right?
Yeah.
That was wild. We had some mad production. We did like an Alice in Wonderland theme for that, did we not? And then we had some fucking crazy actor in a rabbit suit taking people through like a hidden secret Portaloo entrance, which went crazy viral.
My mate Jamie from Reading posted that, and it just went absolutely crazy. The BBC picked it up, didn't they? Had like hundreds of thousands of views, like.
Yeah, no, millions of views. Yeah, millions of views. It was fucking epic. It was so good. One of the funnest things I've done. And actually, do you know what? Actually, doing all the stuff with you guys at Eastern, listen, not everyone is as let's just do some fucking crazy shit. We work with 150, 200 festivals and events and stuff all over the world. Some people are up for doing, depends on your audiences, depends who you are, but not everyone's up for doing some great shit. But that was the first, working with you guys at the time was my first like real, we can do anything. Like, we can just do some mad shit. And actually, I still think back to all those things that we did with you guys then, whether it was on site or the viral stuff, and that still plays a big part in all the shit that we do and a lot of the crazy ideas I come up with here. So thank you for giving me the reins to do whatever the fuck I wanted, basically.
You got to do fun stuff.
Yeah, like,
we did an open top bus rave with East.
Yeah, with East. Yeah.
We did a rickshaw through central London with Scream.
We did that as well. Yeah, Screaming a rickshaw. I think we've got to touch on actually the fun. This wasn't us, but I think the funniest, most iconic thing I can remember you guys ever doing was Seth.
Yeah.
What were you there for this show?
Yeah.
What was that planned? Did he just walk out and go, let's fucking shoot this?
So it was 2013. We had a big 3-day Eastern Electrics rave at Nebworth, which cost me a fortune, sent me bankrupt. I was still paying the money back about 3 years later. But it was a great party. And part of the promo, I was going around and I was interviewing DJs a little bit like this. It was going to be like, not sort of podcast style, but me sort of firing questions at him and having a chat. So me and Seth are good mates. I know Seth pretty much from the first time he came and played at Fabric, came over here, obviously played for us at Mullet over. And I went to his house. I said, I've got a few questions. And he looked at the questions. He was like, fuck that. He goes, why don't I just get naked and say, come to Eastern Electrics? And I was just like, fucking hell, that will be absolute gold. Do you know what I mean? So I was very encouraging of him. I was like, yeah, just do it. And he got a sock, like, tied the sock around his cock and just got naked and danced around and like,
That's Troxler. Come to Eastern Electrics since 2013. See you there. Hi, Seth Troxler. You should come to Eastern Electrics. Yeah. Riding a digital surfboard. Hey, I'm Seth Troxler. This is my dog Sandy. We want you to come to Eastern Electrics. I'm Roland Polanski. I like underage girls. Come to Eastern Electrics. These guys. Go. Bananas. I'm Seth Troxler. Eastern Electrics. I'm Seth Troxler, and I want you to come to Eastern Electrics. Ciao.
Seth was a bit like us in terms of like, he's just up for doing anything. Do you know what I mean? And that was the same sort of ethos we had. So I think it worked well with the party, with him doing it, with the audience that will come into our events. Do you know what I mean? It was one of those perfect things. And, you know, people weren't doing those viral videos so much then. It wasn't like, oh, let's do something crazy and see how many views we can get.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was a bit before all of that sort of started. So I think that's, and club brands certainly weren't doing it.
It's still one of my favorite ever festival videos of any festival ever, just any kind of marketing bit. And it was at a time as well when people weren't doing this shit.
Yeah.
Like now, you know, everyone tries to do something cool, and everyone, you know, it's hard to try and be unique and, you know, do something that someone else hasn't done. But I don't think anybody, I'm pretty sure nobody had had the fucking one of their headline artists naked just going, come with a glass, it was going to a glass of wine, right? But yeah, it was a time, you know, people weren't doing this. You know, social media was still, you know, it been around for a bit, but it was still, you know, growing. It was not the beast that it is now. People weren't doing stunts. Influencers weren't a thing. You know, it was like, you know, you guys really set a trend of doing some mad shit and like viral marketing.
Yeah, we always tried to do something. I think we did Family Fortunes one year where we had like a game show.
Oh my God, yeah, with Barry from EastEnders.
Yeah. There's actually an outtake with Barry snorting a line that one day maybe I'll put out there. Not an actual line, obviously, but just pretending to. And yeah, those videos were like some of the best fun as well. Do you know what I mean? Like I'd rather do stuff like that I enjoyed doing, and you know, that the artists enjoyed doing as well. We got all the DJs to bring their dogs down once.
Oh,
as
yeah,
well.
I remember we did that as well.
Yeah,
in a park. Yeah, Sam and D Double and stuff.
Yeah,
I remember that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck. I feel like I remember a lot of your videos. Now that as you said each one, I'm now like, yeah, fuck. My mind is like, I've got this like library of Eastern Electric's viral marketing videos. Maybe you've shaped my whole work. How like to be fit to 2012? You started Eastern Electrics, right? So what you've done every year? Did you missed a couple of COVID years, obviously?
Yeah, I missed one.
You had a pause. You missed what?
I missed one COVID year, 2020.
Yeah, fine. Even this year was a pause. I know. I'm back next year.
Definitely 100% back next
Amazing.
year. Yeah.
Amazing. No details yet.
That's it. You just need to know that we're back.
We're back. Fucking
we're back, baby.
Is this an actual exclusive? Is this the first time it's been proper?
Depends when it goes out.
Yeah, that's
but it is an exclusive. Yeah, we haven't announced on our socials yet that we are back, but we are. Yeah, we've got a really great lineup. We've
amazing.
Got a new site. We're back in London, and all will be revealed.
Awesome. You got some, I'm not going to press you on names or anything, but do you feel, one thing I will say actually, do you feel the pressure now to be super inventive with your lineups, or like trying to think outside the box, or is it very much like, you know, the mullet over attitude, whereas, you know, it's one thing I will say about Easton is you guys have got a dedicated community of ravers. You know, your audiences, people will travel from all over to come, but they will come for that festival, for that brand. Do you still feel you have to push the boundary with lineups?
Yeah, I mean, I stopped doing the lineups before COVID, and you know, I realized I was too out of touch with what was going on. Yeah. Like I was getting older. Like from day one, I always did the lineups, and I think I did them up until 2019. And now my mate and business partner in the festival, Andy Payton, does the lineups, and he knows his shit.
Yeah.
So he gets a really good balance of, you know, obviously the big hitters, the new up and coming acts, like a really nice mix of genres, because that's what it was always about. Eastern Electric wasn't necessarily just about the house and techno. We wanted some other genres in there as well. And yeah, you've got to be on it, like bookings wise now, because there's so much competition. There's so many other festivals. There's so much new talent coming through, and to get that really fine balance of, you know, what we were always good at in the early days was booking people who were going to blow up.
Yeah.
And Andy's really good at that. He knows who's going to blow up. He knows who's going to be big, like when he's booking now, and who's going to be big by next August.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've sort of prided ourselves on that over the years of booking those artists before they get to that stage.
Who's your favorite act you've ever had at the festival?
We booked Mike Skinner one year, and I'm a big fan of the Streets. unfortunately I missed his set because I was dealing with some shit, as you do at festivals.
Yeah.
And, you know, I booked him. I always used to book one person that I wanted to see, even if they weren't a big name. And I booked him, and then like I literally completely missed him, didn't even get to say hi.
He's actually, it's funny you said that, actually. He's actually one of my favourite acts. I had him at my festival this year. It was the second time, and people lose their shit for him. Like, absolutely lose their shit for him. Whether he's the streets, whether he's DJing.
Yeah.
And he's an awesome guy.
He's an icon, isn't he? He's a
proper icon. I wore my Streets t-shirt this year. I was like a proper fanboy.
Love it. Idris Elba played for us. That was nice, hanging out with him. He's played at the pub a couple of times. Yeah. I suppose big name DJ booking Richie Horton in 2013.
Yeah,
because when I cut my teeth working for Universe at Final Frontier, he was one of the big acts that we had down there back in like 96. So to come like full circle and be booking him as a headliner for my own festival was really nice.
Nice.
And that was probably one of the highlights booking wise for me, just being, he closed the festival and we were running all night that year. So he played the last, I think 3 or 4 hours from 2 till 6 in the morning, and
nice.
It was special.
Nice. Anyone you've never had like that you would love to have?
Who haven't we had? Not had Corolla, actually. Marco Corolla not played for us. I think out of the big sort of headliner sort of acts, we had Coxie one year. It's pretty special getting him as well, because he was like, you know, big headliner back in my hardcore days, like early 90s. Like Cole Cox was a big DJ.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's probably not that many people that I'd really want to book that we haven't booked.
Yeah, no, yeah, fair. Yeah, you mean he's been around for, it should be that way given how long you've fucking been doing it for. Clubs, pubs, festivals, restaurant.
Yes.
New fire starter.
Like I said before, like my career trajectory just follows what I like doing. And at the moment, I like eating. I like going out to restaurants. I like hanging out with my mates and eating nice food. And I thought, you know, why not open a restaurant? And it's actually in one of my pubs in Liverpool Street. So I've taken half of the pub and I've shut it off, and I've made like a little self-contained restaurant.
Awesome.
With an open kitchen. And yeah, we're cooking all the food over live fire. So really amazing, like barbecued meats, fish, vegetables.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know, I thought, what's harder than opening a pub or running a festival? What's a more difficult business? Let's open a restaurant.
Testing it. Is it a different world?
Yeah, it's hard. Like the labor costs are high because you have to have so many chefs in the kitchen to produce good food. You've obviously got to have the servers to like tell people about the menu and deliver the goods to people. And you know, you have to be really good at marketing it. You have to let people know, and it's like selling out a club night every night of the week. Do you know what I mean? You need to have the restaurant busy and making money to make it work. And I think more restaurants go bust, and certainly pubs and, you know, many other hospitality industries. It's a tough game.
I feel like every time there's like occasionally, you know, I don't have things you've never done yourself. It's hard to get an immediate appreciation of how difficult these things can be. Have you seen The Bear? Have you watched The Bear?
I have watched The Bear, yeah.
That, you know, it's not real, right? But that has given...
Makes me cry every episode.
I've never sat on the edge of my seat for something that's not like some kind of death-driven or war-driven show or movie. It properly depicts what I feel like the difficulties of working in and running a restaurant must be, and I feel like I now understand it, although I have no fucking idea. But it feels like that's what it's like, and I guess it's a similar, like, you know, the show is, for everyone's not seen it, he's a Michelin star chef, right? But he's working in a fucking sub joint, right? Yeah. And they kind of turn that into that little amalgamation of the two. I mean, I've got so much respect for you for, you know, I know how difficult festivals and raves and clubs can be. To now throw your hat into the restaurant ring.
You've got to do stuff you enjoy doing. And that's what, you know, people always ask me, what advice do you give to like promoters or new people like running pubs? Like, if you enjoy it, then do it. Do you know what I mean? Because your passion comes through. And if you enjoy it, even if you're not making money and even if it's hard work, then you'll still want to do it. If you're doing something just to try and make some money or just because you think that's what you should be doing, then it ain't going to work. Like, you need to like have a passion for it. And that's, I suppose, why I've sort of gone through all these stages, is because I've just done things that I'm doing in my social life and that I'm enjoying doing. And I'm just gone, okay, let's try and make a business out of that. Let's try and make that work.
Is this it now though? Do you think you've topped
I
every?
ain't got much more left in me. Like, I'm nearly 50. Like, you know, like,
What else can London expect from Rob?
I've got one more venue. I said we're going to do one venue next year, which is, I suppose, it'll be the pinnacle of all the venues that I've got.
Okay.
It's a much bigger site than any of my others. Like, it's iconic. And as I said before, we've got Function, the Fabric Room 2 sound system in the top floor, and we've got an amazing chef in there. Like, so it's going to combine all the things that I love. It's going to have the music, it's going to have the food element, it's going to have the drinks, and yeah, like, I only want to do things that are next level and that are better than the things that I'm already doing at the moment. And there isn't many of those. Like, I probably won't open another pub like that's not better than the ones that I've got. Like, it has to be something that I go, wow, I want to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this project came along and I was like, yeah, I want to do that.
Amazing. I'm excited. Maybe next time you come on, it'll be up and you can talk more about it, and I won't press you more on it because I know you don't want to tell me. Right, we'll do a few quick-fire London questions. See how good your London references, suggestions are. Best restaurant?
I should say Firestarter, my place. Obviously, I can't. So I'm going to say Jonathan Downey's new spot, Motorino in Bloomsbury.
Okay, nice. Best pub or bar that's not a star?
That's
difficult, I know.
Marquee Moon, I really like in Dalston. Big up the cause, boys.
Okay, nice. Best cocktail spot?
Satan's Whiskers, Bethnal Green.
Nice. Okay. Desperate to try, not been?
I go everywhere I want to go. If I see somewhere, I just go. It was Singbori. I really wanted to go to Singbori in Shoreditch, but I went the other day.
Have you been to the Boysdale?
No, I've not been to the
Canary
Boysdale.
Wharf.
Yeah,
it's like a Scottish. Live music whiskey bar.
Yeah, I know it.
It is fucking amazing.
Is it?
Amazing. If you like whiskey, I've never seen a bigger whiskey selection. Obviously, being Scottish, that's the first thing I look at any bar or pub that I go to. The whiskey selection there is obscene.
Okay,
obscene.
I'm on it.
Highly recommended. Best club?
I really love Fold. Fabric is my favourite club.
Big up Seb.
Fold, yeah. Seb Glover, like, he's the man.
Best pub for a party or afters?
Oh, you know what? The Gun. Like, it's closed, but I can't beat the Gun. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Like, I can't give you a current one.
Yeah, fine. Best DJ?
Craig Richards in Fabric always used to be my go-to. Craig Richards at like 6 o'clock in the morning in Fabric, like, nobody beats him. However, I did go to a really good party called Tryouts, and Logan, the resident DJ there, was pretty spot on.
Nice. That's a good next one. Best party?
Can't say Tryouts twice now, can I? But that was like recently. That was my that was my favourite party that I've been to in London for a while.
Okay, nice. And I guess final one. Best person that you'd call when you're ready for a night out?
Got my little crew. There's a couple of lads, Rufus and Ian, who, like, the 2 or 3 times a year that I go partying and I go properly out, then yeah, I'm with those boys.
But Rob, thank you so much for coming on. It's been awesome to catch up properly. So I'm sure we will do more, but excited to hopefully maybe we'll be working together again soon in the future. We'll see. But yeah, Rob, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you everybody for tuning in to another episode. Remember to subscribe to us on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, and follow us on Instagram, Loud and Unfiltered. Thank you all. Big love. Tune in next time.